What's the scariest fact you wish you didn't know? The fact that I was born with congenital heart disease means that at any time, randomly and without warning, one of my valves or part of my heart muscles can suddenly collapse or disintegrate. I would be dead within a matter of days or weeks. Only annual checkups can help detect the smallest hints to prevent this. I mentioned this recently in another thread. We are currently in the 6th major extinction event in the history of the planet, called the Holocene extinction. Flora and fauna are rapidly becoming extinct due to human activity. As far as I understand it, the coming generations are going to suffer from resource shortages. There is nothing we can do to stop it, we can only slow it down. But most people I've met and talked to about it do not take it seriously, or they just roll their eyes and say, "Yeah, whatever, crazy scientist." Your children may suffer from this. Your grandchildren will suffer. I don't even want to think about how later generations will suffer. I was the first choice for a victim for a guy who was serving life in prison for a series of linked murders and murder attempts. His first victim was a friend of mine at the time, so imagine, in some capacity, he may have been targeting a few of us. During his trial, his journal was reviewed, and he apparently spent almost 20 pages talking about me. He was never normal, but it blew my mind how much of his life he had created out of thin air. Like he was 30 years old but was pretending to be a 20-year-old freshman. My college even highlighted the dude's enrollment during orientation week because he was already a published author. If anyone wants to know his name, just DM. There are people out there right now who are hurting children for the fun of it or because they're sick individuals, or both, and that kills me because I was hurt as a child, and I desperately want to save each child and tell them they are loved and now safe. But I know I can't. So I do the best I can and donate to charities that try, but sometimes that doesn't feel like enough because the task is never ending. If a random quantum fluctuation causes the fundamental properties of any point, anywhere in the universe, to decay to a more stable state, that new state of the universe will propagate through space in all directions at the speed of light, erasing reality as we know it as it goes and replacing it with an entirely different universe where matter and energy might not even be able to exist. Since this bubble universe expands at the speed of light, you cannot see it coming, you cannot know it is coming, and it will erase you in less than a millisecond when it arrives. I don't actually know how scary this is, but 100 years from now, everything you have saved digitally will pretty much be inaccessible to your descendants. Physical media will survive, like books and actual tangible photos. But that album of your kid growing up, with the videos of her first words or him graduating high school, nobody is going to be able to watch it or even really know that it exists. There's no way they would even be able to interface with it. Entire lives that we now document on our phones will just poof into thin air one day because none of us ever think to physically print them out and save them. One disturbing fact is related to the capabilities of artificial superintelligence, ASI. ASI refers to a hypothetical AI that surpasses human intelligence in every domain, including creativity, general wisdom, and social skills. The unsettling aspect is the control problem. Once an ASI is created, it might become impossible for humans to control. This AI could redesign itself at an incomprehensible rate, leading to an intelligence explosion. If its goals are not perfectly aligned with human values, it could pose an existential risk, using its superior intelligence to achieve its objectives in ways that might be harmful to humanity. The prospect of creating something far smarter than the smartest humans, and then losing control over it, is a deeply unsettling concept. Radiation poisoning kills you on a molecular level. Because the irradiated isotopes are unstable, they are exchanging protons and neutrons to stabilize themselves. This is why uranium and plutonium are used for nuclear reactions. When a nuclear chain reaction happens, the isotopes are throwing off neutrons, which hit other isotopes, and thus you have a nuclear reaction. Radiation poisoning happens when those free neutrons pass through the human body. Depending on the type of radiation, alpha, beta, gamma, it'll either tear up only the DNA or your skin cells, or go deeper. When DNA in your cells is destroyed, your cells can no longer function. It'll either turn into a tumor or it'll stop replenishing the cell supply, leading to tissue degradation. Your body literally melts off all around you as tissue falls apart because their cell's DNA is destroyed. With radiation poisoning, you'll either die from a tumor or the complete degradation of your body. Neither one is a pleasant experience. I'm not sure if it is the scariest, but something I just learned about that is scary. There is a nerve condition called complex regional pain syndrome. It has no cure and can be brought on by even a mild injury. It can cause immense pain in that area, which some say is worse than being burned or childbirth. It may or may not ever go away. It can even cause sores that are akin to burns to appear on the skin of the affected area. Waking up during a routine colonoscopy was one of the most painful 1 to 2 seconds of my life. It felt like someone was ripping through my abdomen with a dull knife. I heard someone say, "She's awake. I'll give more." When I came to in recovery, I remembered it all too well. They apologized. I've been told that smoking weed every day can sometimes result in needing more anesthesia. I answered, yes, to smoking, but not how much. Any surgeries from here on out, I will make sure to mention that I smoke daily. Anesthesia doesn't work for everyone. I know because it happened to me. I went in at 18 to get my wisdom teeth taken out, thinking that I'd fall asleep and wake up with chipmunk cheeks like the rest of my friends. Nope. I counted down and then woke up. Freaked out because I knew I shouldn't be awake and started hyperventilating. I remember my dentist asking, "Does it hurt?" And I answered honestly, "No." So he kept going. I still remember crying and hyperventilating through the rest of the procedure to this day. It didn't hurt, but it was incredibly traumatizing. At 30, I'm still horrified of going under any sort of anesthesia ever again. I'd rather die, thank you. There was a man who lived from 1880 to 1932 named Eben Byers. He was a socialite and on his way to becoming a professional golfer. He even won the 1906 U.S. amateur golfing tournament. Then, in 1927, Byers received an arm injury from falling out of a bunk bed. A doctor prescribed a patented medication called Radithor. It was a drug created by a man named William J. A. Bailey. What Byers didn't know is that Bailey had lied about receiving a medical record. What he also didn't know was that Radithor contained radium, an extremely radioactive element. Nonetheless, Byers ended up using the drug. At first, the drug seemed to be working, as Byers' arm seemed to be getting better. However, by 1930, the side effects of the deadly drug kicked in. He ended up experiencing painful headaches and he lost a noticeable amount of weight. By 1930, his teeth had begun to fall out, and that's when he stopped using the drug. But the damage was done. In 1931, the Federal Trade Commission found out about the danger of Radithor and asked Byers for a testimony on the effects. However, he was so sick that they had to send a lawyer to get a written statement instead. When the lawyer arrived, he was in for quite a gruesome shock. The lawyer reported that Byers was missing his entire upper jaw, except for his front teeth, and most of his lower jaw. This is called radium jaw, which occurs when radium is ingested. The lawyer also reported that most of his tissue was disintegrating and that holes were beginning to form in his head. There is actually a photo of Byers missing his jaw, but it is extremely graphic. I highly suggest you don't look it up if you're easily squeamish. Eventually, Byers died from cancer, most likely caused by radiation poisoning. He was so radioactive when he died that his coffin was built with lead to prevent any sort of leak. In fact, in 1965 when his body was exhumed, it was found that his body was still releasing radioactive energy. It is unknown if his body is still radioactive to this day or not. A huge percentage of people are financially illiterate, like over 50%, and will never be in a comfortable position to retire. Meanwhile, they are one incident away from financial ruin. So what can we do? Get educated on personal financial planning, get some books, put a plan in place, and consult with a financial advisor. Do this as soon as you can, meaning, try to start in your early 20s. In any city or town, the likelihood that one or more of your neighbors has a key to your house without your knowledge is incredibly high, and going to the hardware store to purchase a new lock does not change the likelihood, it simply changes which neighbors are likely to have a key to your house. Most keyed lock sets come in pairs since most homes have more than 2 entry points, and homeowners want to keep all the locks keyed the same. Lock manufacturers package multiple sets of locks all keyed alike so that the homeowner can purchase the quantity of locks they need all keyed alike. This even happens across styles and finishes of the same brand. Because there are multiples of the same lock, keyed in exactly the same way at the hardware store, it is highly likely that multiple homes in your neighborhood all use the same key. Going to specify this as theorized and as a combination of different studies that I am combining, so I may be wrong, and the info may change because there aren't many studies to begin with. When you were in the womb, there was about a 1% chance of a certain hormone changing your brain chemistry that leads to a shortened lifespan averaging 35 to 25. Without care, 40% of teens are near death at least once, and more than half have symptoms that can lead to the near-death state. And the care generally is a daily pill, daily cream, or a weekly shot, and can get so severe that surgery is needed. What is this diagnosis? Being transgender. Not kidding. The statistics are scary. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.